It always sounds so aggressive. Okay. Okie dokie. Do we see the presentation view or do we see the full view?
The full view.
Oh,
Great. Okay. All right. So this is just a recap. So now up there for your assignments, just so you know, it does say extra credit. So once again, this is extra credit. I think I even put it in the title now. So it's something there for you if you want some extra credit. I know some of you kind of forgot an assignment, so you might want to consider something like this. Um, I have to be honest, you all are doing really well. So I'm not really worried about anybody. I'm pretty aggressive with reaching out to anyone if I see any sign of concern, but you guys are a good group. So thank you. Makes my job easier. Okay. Then we have the building persona, your persona, the brand prism, and then your positioning map. Just remember, I did get a question about this, if this was an individual assignment or if this was part of our final. It's a good question. This is an individual assignment. You will have this within your final project, but this is an individual assignment. And pretty much everyone that turned it in did a great job on it. It's not a report, it's a snapshot. Okay. So a lot of the imagery, if you go back to the video that I shared with you, it will go over the steps of how to build each one of these. Then tonight, oh, no, sorry, it says marketing topics. Forgot the title here. Don't want you to forget about your quizzes. You have two left. So, yay, you're closer. And then tonight we have three presentations. Next week we have two. And then week 8 will just be for our final presentations. All right, so that's just a little recap. So, I want to go into this section. I had a really interesting conversation about a new course that I was helping someone develop, and they did not really see the purpose of having something about this section in a digital marketing course. They were really focusing on algorithms and SEO, which search engine optimization. How do people search for things? And I was telling them, these three components can actually help you build a better website. These three components can help you create any touch point to your customer that really makes them feel like they discovered it. Okay. So the three that we will talk about tonight, in digital marketing, we go way more in depth in this, but this is a nice like snapshot of what are these three things. Okay. So if we start with the first one is social listening. So does anybody have any guesses what social listening could be? No, no Googling it. Um, just gotta like guess. What do we think? Anybody? Social listening.
It'll be like keeping track of trending topics, what people are talking about online.
Okay. Yep. Yep. That's exactly it. It's so remember, social media really was meant to be social. It's turned into a whole other thing. There is a social aspect to it, but there's a lot more things going on. Social listening in digital marketing was literally the first thing that marketers did. So about 2008, 9, we'd start to listen a lot based off of hashtags, because that was kind of one of the measuring tools that we could easily use. As social listening has moved on, it's this idea of understanding what people are saying about your brand. Sorry, had to have the flying cat, any excuse to put that into anything. Um, and this idea about this is that social listening is a way for you to hear not only about what your customers are talking about, but what they're also saying about your brand. So in 2013, I spent a lot of time with the Carl Benz Academy, working with Mercedes-Benz owners across the world. We had a University of Berlin, a University of Shanghai, and then also my university. And we would work with corporate, and the idea was to show them that even though they didn't want to be on social because it was, it's luxury. 2013 luxury was just not going to do anything with social media. we had to show them, even if you're not part of the conversation is happening without you. So you really need to understand it. So that's why I said this is kind of like the first stage of listening to your audience, right? And as I mentioned before, there's like hashtags. There's different ways. I'm actually reading a really interesting book on it's about algorithms, but it's basically about languages that are created online that are based off of like memes or trying to get around the algorithm from banning them to talk online. So it's not all negative, but sometimes with any words, there's certain words that you can't say, even though it doesn't necessarily mean what the algorithm has triggered it to mean. So there's this whole other language that is happening online. So like another stage of this, right? But social listening enables us to listen in a way. I don't know why, but my next slide looks mangled. Um, but social listening is also part of this analytic kind of way of saying if Jordan is searching for cooking tricks for Italian cooking, there's also other words that could be connected to that. Maybe it's I don't know, DoorDash or different things that people kind of like go towards. So when you're trying to understand your customer, social listening does not mean you're literally observing and you're looking what people are talking about. And then this insight, we can take this insight to start to understand the sentiment, whether it's negative or positive. Obviously, we see the two emojis. There's the happy love emoji, and then there's the anger emoji, right? So when we look at these, there's a whole other library that I worked on emojis and communication through visuals, right? So all of this is part of social listening. Um, is everybody kind of clear on like what social listening is? It's this idea of listening what people are saying. So if I was Trader Joe's and I wanted to know what people were saying about my brand, I could put in a hashtag. I could go under, maybe different groups that are talking about. There's tons of Trader Joe groups. Think of Starbucks, all the like secret drinks or in and out, all the secret like orders. It's people that are talking about it. Like, what are they saying? We try to find like-minded individuals. Now, there are a lot of ways to do this organically just by you searching. There are lots of amazing tools that also can enable you to look for, different ways, different things people are saying. Um, as a marketer, this is also for you to understanding how things are being put out there. It's like coming late to a party and not knowing everybody was talking negative about something, and then you try to come in and you talk about it, and everybody's how could they talk about this? Same thing with marketing. If you run a campaign, we've seen a lot of campaigns recently that have got a lot of slack. And part of it is that it's not listening to what the communities and what people are talking about. And words are very powerful and being very careful how you word things. It's going to cost your company a lot more money, like hiring Gwyneth Paltrow to talk about your brand, afterwards if you make a mistake. So you really want to be in touch. So we've seen a lot more jobs come up within companies that it's not necessarily called social listening, but really understanding the audience of these brands. Okay. So as you start to go through this, as you start to think about social listening, like I said, there's lots of tools that you can use, but it's as simple as even reading the comment section, maybe even reading the comment section of your competitor and seeing part of this assignment is also looking, is there something missing right now for your audience? Is there something they're looking for? The only way to know that is really to kind of like deep dive into these communities. So part of my play on this is like why do we listen? Why do we listen to these audiences? And for me, going to the source it's not as if the customer is going to tell you this is what I'm missing. Now, some of them will, but that doesn't mean that it's what you should be doing. it's listening to them if they're using your product, how they're using it, where they're using it, where did they get it? Maybe there's a feature in it you didn't even know everybody liked, and now using social listening, you can kind of understand it better. So if we break it down, part of that is building the brand reputation and loyalty, meaning that if you know, you know, if you're part of that group and you know why it's so positive, um, there's different brands. One of the trends that we've seen, thank goodness for a while now, is like in like clean makeup, makeup that doesn't have all the kind of negative chemicals that is literally going into your body, and makeup now that is, kind of clean makeup, they call it. But then clean products. I mean, my husband wants clean products that are also doesn't have all these chemicals. And if you know that everybody is loving this one product because everybody's saying how they're all using it because it doesn't have these chemicals, that's really building something of you see that this is something that's missing out there. Getting a better understanding of your customers. Everybody wants to feel like they are connected with your brand and you as a brand, whether it's B2B or B2C, you need to make them know that you get them, right? Um, Improving your competitive positioning. So as you're working on your positioning map, so the reason why I wanted each one of you guys to do this is when you do it on your final, if I give Brooklyn, she's in my group, and I give her that assignment, I may not know what I have to be thinking about when I'm thinking about positioning. If I am doing like different touch points for the consumer, I may not know that my competitor is on a different platform, or my competitor does more, I don't know, more events. If I understand the positioning, then I clearly understand where we all kind of align. If I was to give an example of this, going back in the beginning stages before everything in the world kind of changed, one of the things that we saw was I remember the day that I saw Tesla in a, oh, sorry, I was trying to let someone in and hold on a second. Okay. When Tesla was in a mall, we were all kind of looking at each other like, why is there a car dealership in a mall? Like it was completely out of left field. Like it didn't resonate. But part of what that was, it was disruptive and it's where the eyes are of the consumer, right? So if you think about this, maybe you're not going to position yourself in the same exact place that your customer is selling products, but maybe there's a place over here that could get you better exposure. They may have not as sold as many Teslas at that location, but everybody was clearly aware of the brand, what it looked like. So that is really strong positioning. Understanding the listening behind this is where everybody's going. On the weekend, if you're trying to get that customer, where are they going? This is all part of social listening. Moving business forward with reduced budgets. So you're always going to have a budget. Even the biggest companies you could think of, there's a budget. So as you start to going towards this, you have to really pinpoint where you're going to hit your customer. Okay. And then predicting future trends. So once again, just listening what the customers want. So this is a big statement that I want you to think about is that 56% of consumers say they feel more loyal to brands who get them, who show a deep understanding of their priorities and their preferences. So this is the connection, but the only way, a lot of times when a company asks me, should we have a brick and mortar? Should we have a retail location? One of the key values of a retail location isn't always just for sales. It's also understanding the customer. What are the products they walk to first? What sells out after they actually had a chance to maybe touch the product or use the product? So to get to this level, you really have to understand who they are. So then we go to search listening. Any guesses on this one? What search listening could be? I'm going to pick on Gavin because you're up on my screen. So, Gavin, what do we think search listening is?
I think it's kind of how it sounds. What are people searching for? Let's
Yeah.
say what they're browsing online or. what they're searching on social media.
Yep. And if you can believe it, this was also a hard sale. Now it isn't because there's lots of different ways people are searching. But the idea around search listening is looking and monitoring what exactly people are looking for. There's no like, I wonder how people look for this. You look at the searches. So Google Trends, has anybody used Google Trends? If you have, could you put like your hand up? Do you use your little hand up button? Google Trends, anybody? I see no hands.
I've used it before.
Who is that? Ruby?
Yes.
Okay. And then Ruby, how did you use it? If you don't mind me asking.
It was for work. So we do, I work for a health plan. And so one of the projects that we work on is trying to continuously improve processes. And so to kind of improve the member experience, we were trying to work on our member portal. And we try to see what the top searches were for relating to our company, IEHP.
Great, great. Ruby, I'm going to give you a really cool tool today. If you don't use it, you're gonna be really happy if you don't already use it. So search listening using Google Trends, which now that I know that we haven't used it, I'll probably put like a little clip in it next week. But the idea is taking the guesswork out. And this is for me, I am on Google Trends all the time because it's live, so I can see. I mean, I think we talked the other week. Katharina, I think, did her presentation. No, it wasn't Katharina. Who did it on the Super Bowl? Vanessa, was it? Was it Vanessa? Yeah, okay, yeah. So when the Super Bowl happens, I spend a lot of time on Google Trends because I want to know, I know my reaction, but I want to get a snapshot of what everybody's feeling. I even search of what is the mood today in each state? How are people feeling? All of these things. There is one of the best tools that I've seen is actually from Spotify. And Spotify does monitor, behavior, negative, positive. People listen to certain songs when they feel a certain way. A lot of like psychology going through that, right? So even looking at what's trending on Spotify, you can see how people are feeling. Um, there's lots of different like kind of tricks that you can do. Search listening. During COVID, you know, nobody's going anywhere. And one of the companies that I really like how they use the tools to understand their customer better is Airbnb. And Airbnb turned into Pinterest. If you don't use Pinterest, it's basically like pinning your favorite pages. So everybody started pinning all the places they were going to go once they were released from their home. And it turned into saving different pages, right? So you got to see what people were feeling, what they liked. So on the top of Airbnb, it actually changes. They create icons of the most popular places. So maybe it's about being disconnected. So maybe it's about tree houses. Maybe it's stargazing, whatever it is. Another way to start to understand the consumer. So search listening is a way that we will look for how people search for things. So I just want to back up. This isn't turning into a digital marketing class, even though I love digital marketing, but I will not bring that for you. But it's digital marketing is a component, right? It's people use it. It's like it or don't like it. It's just still part of it. But if you're doing sales, you should still kind of know this because this is going to help you. So a long tail keyword when someone searches is when it has more words into it, right? So a short tail word would be like tomato. I'm searching for tomato, right? If I say tomato plant, now we're starting to say, okay, now we are specifically looking for a tomato plant. But what do you mean a tomato plant? That could be a lot of things, right? Then it goes into when to plant tomatoes. The further we go, you see that the searches come down. This could kind of come into play when we start doing like advertising, things like that. But if I said tomato plants are trending, in what context? Whereas if I look at this, I see that a lot of people are planting tomato plants. I'm starting to understand better. And then really now they're starting to create their own gardens and they want to start going deeper into this, right? I've done this before with other things. One of the big trends that I was following is consumers' interest of reading books again. This last year, Barnes and Noble opened up 40 new bookstores again. We haven't seen that in a long time. People were looking for actual books. Book clubs were starting. And I'm like, oh, is this a trend? Like, is this something that's going to be here today, gone tomorrow? Because I found it originally on TikTok because people were looking at book talk, blind dates with a book. But then it kind of turned into this whole kind of experience. But it all started with the hashtag. Then it started looking at the different wording and how people are looking. So when you are working in any of your industries, you want to start looking at short keywords are good, but long tail keywords are going to start to tell you more. On Google in particular, you have people also ask, and you'll see other questions, right, that come up. That also tells you what people are looking for so that you don't, if you are doing research on, let's just say like healthcare customer experience, you would search at, what are people searching, put healthcare customers, and then see what else you're getting. That's also going to tell you a lot about that customer. So looking at search listening, like I mentioned, Google Trends is a place that I spend a lot of time. Now they have these different papers that are going to talk about different trends that are happening, but you can go through it and I can literally pinpoint in the country where people are talking about different topics. So if there's a big event, like for me, the Super Bowl, I can monitor in great scale what's happening. Um, even so right now I spend a lot of time one of the things that isn't on my list is how chat GPT is changing how people are searching. I monitored a couple people and I noticed that instead of Googling, is my plant dying or why is it turning yellow? They take a photograph and they put it right into chat and it tells them why it's turning yellow. Sam Altman, um, he says that it helps him raise his child now because it's telling him, is that a diaper rash? Is that not a diaper rash? Is that a cough? So now there, I'm giving you three. We're going to add a fourth one on here later. Not in this class, the next class if you take me again. But this idea of how your brand is being searchable on chat is another conversation. But this one is really great. It's free. It's 100% free. So you can use this all day long. Okay. Are we doing good? Everybody feeling good about this world? I'm hoping everybody's seeing why. I keep kind of explaining it, but I feel like you get why this is important. I mean, this could help you with your pricing. This could help you with how you're going to word it, where you're going to reach them. What should it look like? I mean, lots of different things can come from this, right? So Answer the Public. So has anybody used Answer the Public? Ruby, have you used Answer the Public?
No, I can't say that I have.
Ruby, you're going to use Answer the Public. Don't search it. Stay with me. Stay with me, everyone. Resist putting it into your. So Answer the Public. So originally Answer the Public was truly my favorite website ever. It was a UK small company. It was great. But then this gentleman by the name of Neil Patel, I don't know if anybody's heard of Neil Patel. Neil Patel is like the master on SEO strategy. Honestly, as soon as you put this in, I'm sorry, because now your YouTube, everything you do is going to be flooded with Neil Patel because he just floods everything. He's very good at it. But he kind of changed it and, of course, added more pricing onto it that I don't like. But you can do 3 searches a day for free. You do now have to put your email in. But other than that, there is nothing you have to buy. So you get 3 free searches a day. So be careful with your searches. When you're working on your project, just remember you have 4 people in your group. So if one person is kind of working on this section, utilize your group members to help you with your searches. So what is this? So Answer the Public breaks down all the searches. It's primarily used for any kind of ranking of your page. How do you get your page better ranked on Google? It also is really great for media buying, like knowing what people are searching, but still, what is this, right? So I'm going to give you an example that I've given before. Whereas I represent a dog hotel. I don't really represent it, but let's just pretend. In Santa Monica. So in Santa Monica, people have dog hotels. Okay. They're leaving town. It's not a kennel, it's a dog hotel. They have little beds. It's like a whole thing. Okay. And what they wanted to know is, what are people searching when they look for dog hotels? What's important to them? These are expensive. They are definitely, something a priority. So as you start to look and run this dog hotel, so I would do a short tail keyword. The only thing about Answer the Public, it does not like long tail keywords. Okay, it has to be short. So if it's the name of your company, I would put that in there. That's going to tell you exactly what people are saying. It's going to break it all down for you. Okay. But if I was looking on here and I wanted to know, what are people typing in when they look for dog hotels? What is a dog hotel? Is a dog hotel safe? Is it profitable? How much do dog hotels cost? So this goes through it, right? If you are trying to figure out, how can I scale up my dog hotel business, right? It's called WAG. So it's not called Dog Hotel. It's called WAG. But we primarily do dogs, right? But we do cats too. But what happened is we found out that a lot of people, when they were searching, was asking for, can my cat stay there too? So this is a cheesy mock-up, but if you put on the website, you call it above the fold. When you go to a website, everything you have to scroll down to is below the fold. Everything that is right on that landing page is above the fold. That is the highest real estate of your website. If you have on there simply an image of a cat, which they didn't, by the way, that will increase your business because people will immediately see it. When you search it, the landing page is also going to be one of the first pages that comes up. If you use the verbiage, our hotel takes cats and dogs, and this is what we recommend when you bring this, any kind of recommendation also brings you up in your ranking page. All of this will increase your business. So once again, not necessarily having to reinvent the whole business plan, but sometimes when you guys are looking at what your project is, go back and think, what are people searching for? Maybe they're going to tell you right there what they need. You don't have to go back and kind of think of like, how do we do this, right? So another way that this is used is also for PR, kind of like helping your brand. So it's an older case study, but I wanted to play it for you guys. So it's a video. This is before Neil Patel bought it, but that's okay. I feel like I don't like Neil. I do like Neil Patel. I just like his name. Like, do you notice I have to say his full name? Watch. I swear, next week you're all gonna understand me. But I wanted you to show it. It's kind of silly, but it's a way of using social media to basically get free PR for your brand. Not that you're going to do exactly what they do, but by listening, your company, the industry, you can kind of fill in what you could do. So let me go here.
Hannah is listening to the radio. There's a story in the news about fast food brand KFC, which has temporarily suspended its famous "It's finger licking good" tagline because it's unhygienic to tell people to lick their fingers in a pandemic. They've done this after concerns were raised about the slogan being included in a new advert in the UK and South Africa and responded quickly to make the change. Then it announces a series of temporary name changes in the UK and Ireland, including the pretty clever "It's forking good" as part of a campaign where the top choices were voted for by the public. Next, KFC launches a fun social campaign borrowing other brand slogans as a replacement for finger licking good. Hannah Googles the campaign and sees that it's had tons of coverage. KFC has turned the story into an opportunity. Hannah sends a link to her friend Stella. Stella gets a message. She's impressed. She logs into Twitter and tweets, "Genius campaign by KFC, pivoting its brand messaging for the pandemic." Around the world, more and more people are seeing, hearing, writing about, sharing, and searching for the KFC story at the same time. It's gone viral. We don't just see that in social, it happens in search too. Google recognizes this increased amount of online activity as a signal that the story is popular and automatically changes its results page to show content about the campaign. This is the first proof point of the success of your work. You have engaged your audience and encouraged them to take action by searching for your campaign. Google's auto suggest feature, which are the results that automatically appear when you type a word or phrase into the Google search box, also start to suggest lots of different phrases relating to KFC's name change. They work based on popularity, similarity, or if something is trending. If you're reporting a campaign back to your boss or a client and keywords connected to your activity appear in Google suggestions, include this as a simple.
Does everybody get how that is powerful right there? How it shows that? You always have to prove anything you guys do in marketing. It's like you always have to have, but by showing as you start to write KFC, Google is already recognizing all of this ad and giving you all these examples right there. That is showing that it is in a high search component that everybody wants.
Indicator of success. To add an extra metric, you can also measure how long the story stays in the top suggestions. It's there because people are searching for it online, which means they must be interested in it. Think about how people might seek information about the campaign. Search around its theme rather than just using its official name. Answer the Public is a tool that listens to all the autocomplete data from search engines like Google and then quickly cranks out all of the searches people have performed around a keyword, saving you loads of time in having to do it manually in Google. Search for your brand or product in Answer the Public and pull out the key phrases relating to your campaign from the results. The branches give the same information as Google's autocomplete data, but use connecting words to expand your search, giving you hundreds of suggestions rather than the maximum of 10 that Google suggests. And then send them to your boss or client like this. And a quick search on Google Trends, the free tool that helps you visualize trending search behavior, also shows that interest in KFC peaked when news of the story broke during the public vote for a new slogan, and again when the social campaign activated. Google Trends is anonymized, so no one is personally identified, categorized, which means it determines the topic for a search query, and aggregated or grouped together. So remember, search data is free and you can use it to get instant access to insights about the success of your campaign and growing brand awareness using these three simple tools: Google's auto suggestions, Answer the Public, and Google Trends. Don't forget to add all of these news.
All right, so this is, let me go back here. Let me stop this. So does everybody kind of understand what Answer the Public does? Honestly, it's the secret sauce. I go to it. I love that I'm recording this right now. I use it anytime I'm meeting a new client. You'll get to know what everybody's saying about the company. You'll get to know the ins and outs that only, I mean, I had one company and I went in and I was like, they were telling me one side of the business was doing better than the other. And I'm like, oh yeah, because no one could kind of tell what the difference is. So they go to that one on the first try and they're like, how did you know that? Well, you know what? If you hire me, I shall tell you how I know that. I give you my secret sauce, but I do not give my clients my secret sauce sometimes. You got to hold on to it because you also got to figure out how you use it. Just when you find it and you use it, that doesn't give you all the answers. You still have to figure out, what do we know about this? And when you guys start working on your final project, you will see how to use it. I want to show you somewhere over here in my 12,000 pages open. Okay, hold on. Okay. Who did Athletic Brewing?
That was me, Jordan.
All right, Jordan. So when you do a search now, the NP, so we don't call him Neil anymore. Now we call him the NP. So Neil Patel allows you to do these searches on Google, Bing, YouTube, TikTok, Amazon, or Instagram. So you can go across the board and look at what they're saying about your brand. As I mentioned, this is highly promoted around media buying because there's a lot of money in media buying. So that is why there's a lot of focus on that. And that is Neil Patel's business. But as you start to go down, so now it doesn't have the little guy with all the like the stems. This kind of is like our new display of it. I'm going to put it on a different screen so I can see. Can everybody see it pretty good? Or no? No, you can't.
No,
Not yet.
No?
no. Oh, now we can.
Yeah? Okay. All right. So, okay. As you start to look on here, and we're looking at Athletic Brewing, right? When your cursor goes on it, the darker it is, the more the volume is of people are searching for this. So as you start to go through this, you can start to understand what's the most important thing people are searching for. Like I said, you get 3 free searches a day. You're not able to download it. It's really inexpensive. So for like your business, I think it's like $12 a month or something. It's really inexpensive. And as you start to go through it, you could start to see in a little bit like clearer light of like what people are looking for. Gluten-free, there was a whole thing about non-alcoholic. And then as you start to go down, it will start to enable you to see the connectiveness of what people are asking. So with your brand, you can kind of imagine, why are you not being easy for me? As a brand, you can start to imagine, you can find a lot more details about what people are saying. I don't know why it's doing this now. Oh, goodness gracious. Go back in to Athletic Brewing. Okay. So once again, highlights there. What are people searching the most? It's a story. You have to figure out what the story is. So even though I could give this to someone, you still have to do your homework and you have to know about the brand. But the more you know about the brand, you'll understand it better. Now, maybe it's not even just about the brand. Maybe it's about alcohol free, right? Knowing more about that. And what people are saying. And then maybe I would put that into my next short short kind of word search. I would put alcohol free and see what comes up and what people are saying and what people are asking. As you start to go through this, you can also start to figure out maybe different positioning. You could find out like different pain points that maybe they don't have that you need to do. I mean, people are obviously asking about, how safe it is, or if you're pregnant, is it fancy? What is it like? And then as you go to the bottom, this also is where I like to get like my keywords in, knowing a little bit about it. So Athletic Brewing at Costco, didn't know. Finding out more information. It gives you a really nice snapshot. So when you guys are working on your project, utilize this. Just because of time, I don't think I'm going to the other one that I did, but I also did the Spotify because I wanted to talk about like the rap and what people were saying about the rap. So when that came out and everybody was like getting all mad because they didn't like their yearly rap of what the algorithm was giving them, I wanted to know what people were saying. So when people say I don't like it or it's bad, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. So I want to know more. So then I would go to Answer the Public, and then I would go to Google Trends. And then after all of this, I can get a better idea of kind of what's happening. And then I can go to the next step. Okay. So this is Answer the Public. And I highly recommend you utilize that to kind of give you a better understanding of the brand or the company, whoever you are working with for your final project. Okay, so now let's find out where I put it. Here it is. Okay. Okay. So lastly, we have audience intelligence. All right. Since I was harassing Brooklyn, I'm going to harass Brooklyn more. I don't know why you always show up right on my screen. I'm really sorry that you're like the first one on here. What do we think audience intelligence? And I have talked a little bit about it, but what do you think audience intelligence is?
Is that, I guess, what the audience knows?
What the audience knows?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I guess just the level of understanding of your market, of the people, of your customers. So like, for example, the literature for my work is all sixth grade level writing, just so that, everybody can understand what they're receiving.
Okay. And it can be that. It can be, understanding your audience, but basically in this case, the way that we use intelligence is this idea of going back to like the research that I was saying that I do on looking at the whole community. So if I was to take, I'm just going to say Trader Joe's because that's the easiest thing to say. Okay. If I was to take Trader Joe's and I looked at the whole audience, I would get all my data, right? And it would look like that, a bunch of dots connected together. And it's like, okay, that's a lot of people. What does that mean? So the first thing you want to do is do customer segmentation. You want to break it down to different components, right? So people that go to Trader Joe's are busy moms or single college students or whatever. And each one of those little groups that break out turn into segments. This is ran through what we called an affinity analysis, pulling different groups that have similar interest. So audience intelligence uses, I mean, I feel like everybody says AI, but it's basically machine learning to run what are the likelihood of these people kind of having a common ground. They all are interested in Trader Joe's. So everybody's looking at the dots, right? So if I was to say this is your audience of Trader Joe's, that's a lot of people, a lot of different types of people. It's also different regions are going to look different, right? But if I wanted to start saying and targeting them, I need to understand how each of those groups have similar things that they like, right? I think I told you guys I did it before with like Coachella, and I wanted to know, do people go to that for the music? Do they talk more about music and bands, or are they talking more about fashion? What are we talking about? So I wanted to break the different groups up. So audience intelligence enables us to take these groups, go through a filtering system. There's different algorithms that are written. One of the ones that I like to use is based off affinity analysis. It takes the affinity to find things that they have in common. So I know that everybody that goes to Trader Joe's, there's all of them go there, but there's a group that only likes, I don't know, their ice cream that they have. Maybe it's like the ice cream lovers are over here. Maybe it's my health food, whatever people like this group. So I start to get to humanize them and kind of find more insight that enables me to understand them better. When you use tools like this, you also, so India is a friend of mine that she's amazing and she does a lot of research in regards to these different groups. So she's my research partner and we work on understanding different companies' communities. I met her in 2015 because she worked for a company called Affinio at the time. And she put out a tweet, and it was something like this, where it was talking about a brand, but tied together that they all like brands that are Red Bull, GoPro, and Billabong. So last week we were playing with this idea of like Monster doing a collaboration with Yeti, right? This is a tool that will enable me to know if I am a big, the entertainment uses this a lot. If I want to do commercials or outbuy, I would use this. But the truth is, a lot of brands can use this. Not a lot of brands know how to use this. So what we do is we enable them to understand if they're going to run a campaign, they could run it with a surfer, they could do this, and it would reach like three of their segments in their audiences. as you start to build your audience, it breaks it down to demographics, right? So that's great, but I need to know more. So a blog to watch, which see, we've almost been together an hour and I didn't even say watches once. So I've almost made it. So blog to watch is one of the blogs that I use for a lot of my research. And what this enabled me to do was to look at part of their audiences. So this brought up 31,586 people in this audience. And then it broke it down for me to understand them. We would go back in, we would name them and kind of deep dive into what does that mean. So I want to stop here and I want to show you a live example of this. Okay, I think I'll just do here. You hanging on, guys? We're almost through this part. But it's really important. Once again, this is recorded. So you can go back and kind of look and see what fits you. All right, so I'll come back to this. I want to start with the blog to watch. So if a blog to watch, they represent thousands of different watches, but their communities is very high engaging. So if I wanted to know about the watch community, I could go through here and kind of pinpoint different things that interest them, right? These are the top brands. You're always going to get a blog to watch top, whatever the brand is that they all are following. So the Coachella example, or if I did Trader Joe's, that will always come up here, right? But now other brands that this whole community feels most connected to, right? This is a snapshot of everybody that is in this giant thing. That's a lot of people to market to. And it doesn't always make people feel like they discovered it just for them. Okay. But one thing that you may not know is there's a lot of engineers because of the mechanicalism and all of that going into watches and understanding the science behind it that tend to be drawn to it, right? What if I can click onto this now? You go in and you name these. It pulls it together. You don't have to write an algorithm. This is called a dashboard. Welcome to marketing intelligence. But you go in and you name them to understand them better and to decipher who they are. Now, any brand you want, I can go in and know their demographics. I can know their sociographics, influencers and brands that they most follow, also all the touch points of where they are following them. That's important, right? Because if you have a new product or something you're going to talk about, where are you going to find them? Interest category. What are they interested in? What are the key things that are top of mind? Now, remember, this is just one component. This is my professional engineers. This isn't the whole audience. This is a way for me to start to understand each group. What media do they use? What is the content that they tend to share? Oh, they got rid of it. That's a bummer. Personality. So this is actually based off of a research paper. And I actually used this for the independent watch brands in Switzerland. I did a presentation and I showed that the group had a high openness for discovery. And we use this to actually incorporate how MR and more MR than VR was something that they would be interested in. And I kind of deep dove into that. Then we go into buying habits. Where do they usually buy? Do they usually get it from friends and family? How's that customer journey working on? And then their online habits. What do they mostly use? What is their, are they about SoundCloud, Twitch? Then you can go into Twitch and kind of pull a whole other, and when it makes all these segments, I can create my own segments. Maybe I find something else that they're interested in. So I ran another one for Rare Beauty. This is a smaller one that was run. So this is 4,699. But 4,699 people that are part of their community is still going to tell you a lot. And then with each one of these, I can start to know I have Swiftie enthusiasts that are part of Rare Beauty, Media Pride, different things that they're kind of connected to. There's a lot here. Y'all getting there's a lot here. But this is like the secret sauce to understand each of these components a little bit more about them. So, I don't know, maybe let me go to, let's just go to Swifties because that'll probably be the easiest to understand. Once again, their demographics, knowing where they live, oh, their names, their common names that they use, social economics, where they stand, influencer, who are the key influencers that they're following, interest categories. This is for a marketer, this is what you want. You want to understand them. You could run this for your competitor to kind of know where do you two overlap. Personalities, kind of understanding how, are they more agreeable? Are they more, extroverts, introverts? Even inside here, it will even give you like samples of if you are more like this, these are some of the visuals they're more attracted to, some of the emojis that they use the most. So this is an amazing tool. This one is not free, but their audience blog, any kind of audience intelligence, a lot of them write white papers, a lot of them write blogs. The Nielsen market group, they'll also put in there like kind of free examples for you to go through. So that's kind of like the last part of, using the tool without paying for the tool. But you know what, there's so much of it now that I know we're just going to see more and more people putting more free content up there. So I honestly think by the end of this year, we'll have a lot more people giving part of this away. Okay, not that. Let me see. Got 2 more minutes, guys, and then we're switching off here. Just trying to get this page up. Here we go. I don't know if you guys are seeing it. Does it say audience intelligence? No?
No.
No.
It's weird. It tells me share and it shows it. PowerPoint. There we go, right? Okay. Okay, so I feel like we're pretty good with that as far as a tool. I'm going to show you just briefly how I used it with one case study. IWC, a big watch brand, was looking for collaboration. They have some of the top influencers in the world, but that doesn't convert to sales. It's mostly it's like how many people follow Rolex as opposed to how many people buy Rolex. There's a big difference. So what we wanted to do was use something like this to understand these audiences. I don't know, has anybody ever heard the term online in marketing when someone's called a lurker, what that means? So lurker basically is someone that observes. They don't interact, they don't do anything. And a lot of times they're not measured because they're not interacting. So going back to social listening and search listening, that's interaction. But there's a group that they don't interact. I mean, there's brands I follow and I'm not liking every single thing they're doing. So with social listening, it is collecting the lurkers as well. And then we have what we call social tribes. So social e-tribes, electric tribes, which is also part of like Robert Kozinet's idea of like collected voices. These groups, which all these little segments that I put up, they also are really important because they have a lot to share and it's good to understand what they are. And these all pull together what we call clusters. Okay. It's the last part of your little science thing there. So we followed a big audience. And we took this audience and we wanted to understand them on a different sense of who are they? Where do they live? You know, all the things I was kind of telling you. But this wasn't really giving me anything that I didn't already know. I did a word cloud. I did a lot of times when you're doing a study, you'll get information. It's interesting, but it doesn't really help you. It's not really going to, you know, move any different shifts for the brand. So as we started to do this, one of the things that we did is we did this kind of comparison of which of these different groups had different things in common, right? And when I started going through this, one of the things that I noticed was that a lot of them were following Mr. Porter. So Mr. Porter is like a high-end menswear reseller, not reseller, a retail store, but it's online. And we realized that because what you can also do is see the images people share. What does your community share? Even knowing what their avatar looks like is important. It's getting to know them on a deeper level, right? Instead of, you know, males of the age 18 to 42, now I'm seeing a lot of them share things about certain sports or certain looks or what's important to them. So as I started to build this, this literally looked like Mr. Porter. So part of this kind of collaboration was a collaboration with Mr. Porter, so this high-end menswear line, and IWC. But what happened also with this is while everybody was pushing towards every watch brand, if you watch the new Formula One, IWC is all over that car, by the way. IWC buys everything about anything that has to do with a fast car or a winning circle. They're trying to like take over where Rolex is. But what I noticed, which was really high, were book authors. And that authors were not being approached the same way a Formula One driver or a golfer was being approached. So what happened by using this audience software is that we discovered that this was a new community that they could go after. Okay. So that is going to conclude my stop.